Yeah, don't worry, that audio static goes away. At least, I think. You know, according to a story I once heard, the reason why the Police, you know, that famous band, named themselves the Police, is because then they would get free advertising. So, I can only speculate as to why Nichibutsu Software named their game Cop. But one would suspect that free advertising is hard to pass up. Alright, let's get started with Cop. So the first thing you notice is these sweet rockin' controls. The next thing you note, oh, he does actually have a jetpack. Because the character seems to be incredibly floaty. Like, you press up, and then he kind of jumps, but like, he stays in the air a little bit longer than a normal person affected by physics would, I would imagine. Also, he like, oh jeez. So, just like elevator action, if you want to actually avoid getting shot, then you have to dodge. But the problem is, it's not quite responsive. And then also too, like, once you duck, that's it. No more moving. I guess, okay. So here's my current strategy. Aha, the diagonal shots. That's how they get you. That's right. Whenever you're playing crane games or otherwise inserting credits into arcade machines, watch out for the diagonal shots. Okay, so my winning strategy thus far is to alternate between holding right and then holding down right, which counts as a diagonal. Oh, can you... Okay, so one thing is you press up and your guy does a weird jump. But if you press down, you can actually cut it short. Not like instantly, but... Oh, jeez. Okay. I wonder if you can do a pacifist run. That might be something I do next. Honestly, doing a pacifist run might actually be easier. Well, let's give it a shot. I also like how the plot of this game is immediate. Ah, I see that charge meter. Okay. You know, it's only when you try to break a game that you fully understand it. Or you realize that you don't really understand it at all. So, we can go into jetpack from jump. Oh my god. So I don't know if you noticed, but this game is very frantic, and there's a lot of things coming at you. Now, one thing I really like about this game's franticness is it's all amazingly clear, like, what you're up against, so to speak. Like, you gotta keep on moving. Why? Well, there's literally a wall of flames right behind you. It's like, what more do you need? Do you need me to explain why fire is bad for the human body? Like, okay, that's pretty clear. Why do you want to go forward? Well, the guy stole the chick. It's like, okay, gotta get her back. And it's like, why do you not want to just walk forward like some sort of mindless drone? Well, guys are shooting at you. And I mean, maybe their bullets are a little hard to see, but you kind of get the point. I see. So it's all about kind of modulating. That's like the low kick in Street Fighter. It's like you shouldn't be able to do that. That's like your one special, like, the opponent shouldn't be able to duck. That's my special technique. That's my special technique honed by years of practice and a basic understanding of the mechanics of an 8-way gate joystick. You can't duck. That's like when in Street Fighter, when you fight against the first guy, you can do low kicks, and you're just like, that's so cheap, why are you doing that? And it's like, you know exactly why they're doing it. You're just mad that they're doing it to you. Okay, so just in case you're wondering about the metagame of Cop, apparently it's all about ducking and jumping and just kind of modulating which vertical plane you're on. Wait, you mean one hit doesn't kill me? Oh. The bats just take away my charge. Okay, that is something I will gladly give in exchange for not having to worry about the bats. Oh my gosh. Like, you're floaty enough in the air, you like stay a certain amount of time in the air, but I've never quite figured out to a reliable accuracy just how long you are allowed to be in the air. Well, guess who gets whoa? So you press up, down, left, right. You can move anywhere you want on this name entry screen. And you see the 50 whole... You get 1 whole minute to type in your name on this name entry screen. I'm calling it. This is one of the best 80s games of all time. You got a working name entry screen, you got short, quick mechanics that, like, well, they're a little janky at first, they more or less work. Now let's just kind of look and talk for a second here. Now, you see the guy jumping, and you see him kind of shooting and dodging. Now, okay, if you're used to reality, that's a little bit off-putting, like it feels like it shouldn't really work like that. But here's the thing, it makes sense as a video game. Like, it makes sense that you have all these different movement options, it makes sense that you have these various like, there are the 3 vertical levels that you have to be paying attention to, there are numerous hazards you have to watch out for, but you are given the tools to deal with all of those. Like, this is quite frankly a fantastic game. And honestly, I'm a little bit sad that I, like, took one look at the dumb name and thought, okay, this is gonna be stupid. And you know, that's what Let's Play I'm not calling it that anymore, am I? I'm not calling it Ashgabat Cat, Let's Play that either. That's what Arcade Calvacade, you can correct me by looking at the title. That's what Arcade Calvacade is all about. Giving these random games a chance to shine, a chance to show that they too have what it takes to roll with the big guys. Now, I'm gonna put some quarters where my mouth is, or where the game's mouth is, I guess, and play some more, because honestly, it's a pretty good game. I do like it. Like, it's relatively clear, like, what dangers are coming at you, how to handle it, and then pretty much the only thing that's unknown, or the part that's up to you, is like, can you put your video game skills together and make it past them? That was slightly painful, because I almost had that, I swear. And you know, that's being able to say that is one of the hallmarks of a good arcade game, when you look at the end and you're just like, nah, I had that. Now, just in case you were wondering, you can't quick fall from the jetpack, which, I mean, fair enough, jetpacks shouldn't necessarily be a get out of jail free key. Oh my god, the bats are like the most awful combination of like Galaga challenging stage enemies and like pointless distractions I've seen in a while. Let's count this out. 1 1000, 2 1000. Okay, 2 seconds in the air. If I was one of those pro video game players, I would keep that in mind. I don't know, have you ever seen King Kong Fistful of Quarters? One of the things that was most impactful to me about that whole movie was seeing this, like, the guy, he actually drew on the screen of the arcade machine and actually figured out, like, the paths the barrels were gonna take. And it's like, that is some level of dedication. Oh, okay. I thought for a second there it was gonna turn into some sort of platformer. Oh, hey, just like, the one with the guy in the lance, and then he turns into his underwear if he gets Ghosts and Goblins. Just like Ghosts and Goblins, you get that pithy sort of map of where you are in this strange world. Is it me, or does it seem like the enemies are now, like, completely toothless? Oh, come on, who needs shins when you've got a jetpack? Well, beat my score. You know, the real hallmark of a good game is when you make it pretty far, further than you've ever been, then you die, and then you kind of ask yourself, is it worth playing a little bit longer? Because on one hand, I'm pretty sure it's only downhill from here. But on the other hand, you don't get that many chances to play a really good game. So you know, let's kind of switch into highlights mode, and let's see if there's anything else hiding behind this game's charmingly vague exterior. I do like how he when you press up, he instantly goes up, and so doing that, I was able to actually dodge one of those low shot guys. So, I mean, hey, not all the mechanics in a video game have to work against you. Sometimes they can work in your favor. Oh, I see. That last turret there is sort of like a Kaizo trap, where if you're not paying enough attention, it just nails you right at the end and you just die. And you're just like, Why did I even put my faith in this game? Oh, I think I kind of understand how this works. Basically, you can shoot their shots. Hey, that guy was like literally standing in fire. I'm not gonna say that that's cheap, because like it doesn't really matter to me, but that just seems a little wonky. And I guess it further reiterates that this game, it sort of plays by real-life human rules, but not quite. Not quite. Yeah, so the way I died that time, you just don't quite have enough mobility when you land. And so, well, then again, I thought like the general inability to mix jumping and dodging, or jumping and ducking was sort of impossible. So I think I'll give it another shot. I bet I can learn it, just like I learned sort of the ins and outs of the game so far. Oh, are you catching that? The enemies are now starting to jump. They're starting to learn. One thing that's a little bit unfortunate right there was I was not able to jump fast enough. Now, what I have learned, well, okay, first off, because jump is mapped up and not an actual button, it's a little bit hard to be able to press it in time. Now, you do have your jetpack to rely on, so you're not completely out of it. I see. Now, that's one thing that, like, you haven't really had to worry about in the previous levels, is the jetpack. You don't have to worry about using it and abusing it. But I think to get past this level, you're really gonna have to actually start seeing what that jetpack guy is all about. Okay, now we're at the stage where I'm good enough, like, I've played through this first level enough times that I fancy myself good enough to be able to kind of rush my way through. The only catch is, I'm not really that good yet, and honestly, if I said that to myself, I'd really just be lying. At the same time, I don't necessarily have the patience anymore to slow down because, well, the game isn't really new to me anymore, so there's nothing to be gained that way. So, this might be, as it was, the beginning of the end. However, I'm doing a little bit better than my monologuing might suggest, so who knows? Maybe I'll keep playing. Oh, well, on the bright side, because they're jumping, that does mean we're pretty close to the end. Unfortunately, because they're jumping, that's gonna mix me up enough. Okay, I've been trying to like lowball it on my jetpack for quite a while, and I don't think that's how you should go, because I'm pretty sure if I made it to the end, I probably would have had tons of jetpack to spare. Unfortunately, I did not make it to the end, and so I think that will be the end, somewhat ironically. So that was Cop 01 by Nichibutsu. Honestly, I've never heard of this company, I've never heard of this game. Just looking from the title, it looks kind of dumb. If you see like a still of this game, you'd be like, well, I guess it's not entirely unappealing. It's kind of got that like early Atari Williams sort of vibe with like the sprites that are more based on like cartoons actually than any sort of like existing sprite work that's been in the genre, or that's been in the medium before. But at the same time, like you take a look at this game and you wouldn't think it'd be that good. And then, but there's just something about like playing it. There's just something about having to actually interact with the mechanics yourself, or actually there's some sort of magic that happens when you do finally interact with the mechanics yourself, and the game just clicks. It just clicks. Now, I think it's a little bit too frantic, and I think the controls are just kind of awful enough, because, like, again, up is jump. Now, I'm sure I could remap it, but I don't necessarily want to. That is kind of something that'll, like, count as a strike against it, because, again, you compare this to, like, the absolute masterclass that is Ghosts and Goblins, which is definitely a hard platformer, but it's a hard platformer with rock-solid controls. This is a game with, I don't want to say it's scrunchy controls, and it's definitely better than like a balled up towel. I'd say it's like a pumice stone, where like, yeah, technically it's a rock, it's kind of hard too, so you could probably like hit something with it, but at the same time, like if you kind of look for faults and if you kind of pull enough, you could probably break it. And that's kind of how solid these games' controls are. Still though, Cop 01. Every now and again, you just get an inspiration that keeps you going. And that's what this game is. Cop01, I salute you. And on that note, this cat's got a scat.